Well, friends, the auto-afflicted life is not all boost feels and exhaust noise. Sometimes it's the realities that all your cars are broken and you have quite a lot to do. And that's where I find myself right now. Pulled into the driveway yesterday and dark helmet, the Audi 4.2 V8 released all its coolant on the ground, the infamous V8 coolant leak. And my Benz, the Turbo 300 CE that we've been having so much fun with and built up last year, blown head gasket. We're going to talk about what needs to be done there and basically get into the future plans of the channel for the next couple months, because we got to get all these cars up and running and get back to enjoying. So without further ado, let's get into it. Right, so here we are in the yard, the backyard, becoming the junkyard. This under the cover here is actually, this is the 300D, right? 300D. It's a 190D, sorry, 190D. I'm losing my mind here. This is a 5-speed manual that we got with the intent of putting the transmission into the turbo Benz coupe. So donor car, parts car, and in behind me are snow tires, leftover wheels, rims, Facebook Marketplace scores. And over here though is where my friends live, on the side. This is what I call my topless garage. It's basically just the side of my house. But that's what I got right now for space. As you can see, we got Bruno sa coupe here, and behind Bruno is let's back it up. Boop, beep, beep. Of course, dark helmet.
All rise in the presence of dark helmet.
The Audi A6 4.2 V8 unicorn manual swap on BC coils. So like I was saying, yesterday pulled into the driveway and I'd been looking at this coolant leak, or looking for this coolant leak rather. I could see it been weeping around some hoses because the hoses are old, and I replaced the coolant reservoir. The tank, that was actually so brittle that it cracked as I was taking the old one out. Luckily found a new one at the junkyard. Been really lucky to find a V8 at the junkyard close to me, because everything that's so special about the V8 as far as external body work, and of course all of the parts are specific to the V8 motor. You can't get them off just any old A6. So kind of a blessing to find that stuff local, even though the vehicle's been giving me a little bit of going through the paces. It's kind of to be expected with an older Audi, Volkswagen VAG setup, whatever you call it. I like to call it the VAG. Yeah, you can expect with these older cars to be going through replaceable items like coolant, hoses, and old stuff like that. It's definitely worth checking your hoses, and it kind of tends to be like you replace one and then you see the stress on the others, and if you can replace them all, could be a good thing. Not always necessary, but the fun thing about the V8 is it has this thing, it's known as the infamous V8 coolant leak, and there's a plastic pipe that runs coolant. It's on the right side of the engine, and of course with heat and everything, these things become brittle over time and they break. So $50 part, 8 hours of labor, just times 8 by your local Audi dealership rates, and take out a loan. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to buy the parts, and I'm going to dig in, obviously, and take care of that. Moving back to Bruno's sock coupe, we'll take a look under the hood here. We can take a look inside too. Man, I miss this thing. I didn't get a chance to do a proper video for you all about how amazing this thing is these days. I wanted to do vanity video and driving video, and I was just waiting on some Brabus 3-piece wheels that I'm refurbishing. And I wanted the big reveal with the new wheels and the car running how I want, and I got the seats in over the winter, so everything is really looking pretty nice on this thing. But as luck or bad luck would have it, blew that head gasket on the way to a Cars and Coffee. The head gaskets on these cars are really not known to be robust. In fact, they are known to give way, even with a naturally aspirated setup. And when you're adding boost, then obviously you're putting that much more stress on the system. I knew something was going to go eventually, and really what happened, what I've kind of deduced, is that the head gasket went, coolant got in the oil thickens up, oil feed to the turbo. The turbo is a journal bearing turbo, and the oil is so important for the journal bearing. And when it got that lower viscosity and extra heat in it, the bearing went. So that's kind of what tipped me off to the whole thing. Felt the power from the turbo go away. All of a sudden there's coolant spewing out of my hood, and so we've got quite a project here. I've been talking to Hedgehog Motorsports. They make an amazing multi-layered head gasket, but they're over in Taiwan, I believe, and so getting that head gasket is going to be a little bit of a process, but that's going to be the thing for this. I'm not going to go with a stock head gasket because even the AMG version head gasket is multi-layered material. It's got metal around the cylinder areas, but the rest of it's like junk, and they're just known to fail. And that is actually a $290 part for the AMG one. I think Hedgehog wants the same for their multi-layered steel MLS, and it's going to be worth every penny because that's going to hold this engine together. We'll definitely put it together with stronger head studs, and while we're in there, I'm going to do the timing, the water pump, all of the things that I can replace. And so it's going to be refreshed for the long term, which is nice. And with a stronger head gasket and head studs, we'll probably turn the boost up a little bit. I don't want to get too crazy. I've heard the fueling system can go up. This K-Jet system can manage maybe 12 or 15. I don't know that I want to go that high right now. I'm about 9 psi with just under 300 wheel horsepower, and maybe going to 10 or 11 would be enough. I don't need crazy horsepower. Reliability, that's what we really need, reliability, because it's super fun as is with the given horsepower at just under 300. So looks like I did tighten up my air filter, but I was going to show you guys how bad the journal bearing is on this. Actually, take a quick look at this video. You can see how bad the journal bearing got on this. So we got a bit of work to do there, but super looking forward to getting the coupe back out on the road. This thing is just so fun. So taking a peek inside my Audi A6 V8, also known as Dark Helmet on the interweb. Just It's really beautiful in here right now. Been cleaning it up. I do actually have a replacement for this that you saw, for this switch here. Got that out of the junkyard just so it's not scratched out white. I don't know what people were doing in these interiors. They're like picking at them all day. I mean, I know they're not known for their longevity because of the coatings that that were used by Audi, Volkswagen, and Porsche in this era. The I don't know, it's like a rubberized coating. It tends to come off a lot of the switches and the knobs and things. But this one has been holding up really well. And you could just see what we're working with in here. Plenty to love. We've been replacing all the gross skulls in here. Went with a black forest shift knob, weighted, really nice. Got my dog blanket back here. But all in all, this is turning out to be a beautiful car. It's interesting. It has one good side, one bad side. So the left side here has clear coat issues. We're actually going to resolve these issues with some Poppy's patina. So that's going to be pretty exciting. I'm going to show you guys how this wipe-on Poppy's patina clear coat is going to really fix this thing up. Like I said, we put some dents on it here in a driving video the other day. That was a bummer, but we know where another fender is. But yeah, some little rust issues over here that we got to see to. But we're going to take care of all that. And it just has a really nice fat rear end, dual pipes. You don't see that a lot on Audis. And just the fender flares on this thing are unreal. These nice 18-inch A8L sewer cap wheels. Found these and fitted them up, and just beautiful flush fit. And still we got to get within the headlights here to remove these skulls. That's going to require some oven work, popping those apart. Really beautiful car in my opinion, though. Just needs a little love, but the price was right. So the thing about these cars is that they're both pretty high mile. The Audi is 233,000 miles, and the coupe, the Benz coupe, I kind of crunched the numbers on that one, and I think it's about 200,000 mile car, because it did have original odometer reading up to like, what was it, 175 or something, and then, or maybe it was up to 150, and then it had an odometer discrepancy reported on the Carfax with the odometer going back to like 75 or something. But anyway, the cumulative mileage that I could come up with is about 200 something. So, you know, when we refresh the timing belt on the Benz and all of that, that's going to be much needed, and we'll just add that much longevity. But when you're dealing with these older cars, you know, there's always going to be something. And you know, both of these cars were sub $5,000 cars, and kind of a score. I mean, the Benz really was a whole lot of car for that money, and the Audi I think was pretty appropriately priced. You know, I didn't get like a steal on it, but I don't think I got worked over. The Audi for a 233,000 mile car does have a new timing belt, water pump, clutch, a bunch of things that made it worth buying, being that it's so old. Those are like, you know, the main running gear things. If those are replaced, then it's like, it doesn't really matter the age, right? It's not how many miles, it's the maintenance that matters. So something to think about. And you might say, well, what are you going to drive now since your cars are broken? Well, luckily I got my buddy's snow body here. This is actually kind of a cool car. It's a Legacy wagon. See if we can get it framed up here. So Legacy wagon, 5-speed manual. This is my buddy's winter car. He goes up to Brighton with it every day during the winter. It's like Brighton parking lot famous, but a good car, and I've been storing it here for the summer for him, and thankful to have it because I did use it while I was in between the Porsche and the Audi, and then I've used it a couple times when the Audi has gone down for the day with a coolant issue. So here I am back into the snow body. So even though we have a lot on our plate right now, I gotta say there's a lot of luck on my side, and for some reason the auto gods keep smiling down on me. There's cars in the junkyard for me to take things from. I've got paid time off stacked up, so I've got a little extra time this fall to be able to work on these cars. And in addition to all that, the parts aren't terribly expensive for these things. It's the labor that would really kill you, because mechanics are skilled and the knowledge is getting lost. In fact, if I were to take these cars to the dealerships, they would probably not have anything they could do with them, because they don't plug them in and the computer says put this part, that part. Like, the mechanic would actually have to think and know and then act, and that just doesn't happen anymore. So friends, we are a dying breed, and honestly, I've realized that I'm going to have to take a little more knowledge on these cars and probably open up a shop before too long to be able to support our other friends in the world that have these cars, because this knowledge is going away. But like I said, not afraid. I'm looking forward to it. I'm seeing the opportunities to improve the cars as I repair them, and then also the longevity. I mean, when you have an amazing 6-speed manual V8 Audi with coilover suspension, the last thing you should do is scrap it or sell it to someone cheap. You just keep it running, and it's going to treat you right forever. And with that, it looks like it's time for me to go off to breakfast. My buddy Elf just pulled up. He's actually my Audi whisperer, but for some reason he's decided to turn into a Jeeper, and he won't let me into his Jeep. Yeah, so this is my buddy Elf. He's actually evil genius, owner of Streamline here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Knows more about Audis and Volkswagens than Audi and Volkswagen. When clean diesel came out, he knew it was false because he could smell it. Anyway, friends, thanks for checking it out. I'm going to breakfast with my buddy. Everyone should enjoy their friends. And until the next time, peace.